Hello everyone, I'm Sadie.
And I'm Aliya.
And today we're back with two opinionated students. Today, we have a guest on our episode, Julia from our graphics department here at Steinbrenner's Oracle.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I'll be here to be discussing the topic today.
We're excited to have you, Julia.
Today we're talking about voting age and whether or not it should be lowered even more, because before it was 21, right?
21. So the 14th Amendment actually sets the maximum voting age for the United States, and at that point, every male citizen that is 21 has the right to vote. That's what the 14th Amendment states in part, and the 26th Amendment lowered it to 18 during the Vietnam War. There are a lot of arguments for lowering the voting age, and there's a few even for raising it, and so that's why we're discussing this today.
I wanted to preface this by saying we're all seniors, and the only person here who's actually going to be qualified for when the midterms happen is Sadie, because my birthday is at the end of November.
3 whole days.
No, but, so what are your two views on the voting age stuff? Like, are you for raising it or lowering it?
Honestly, the stance that I took in my article was that we should keep it the same, because lowering it, I mean, there were a couple of fair arguments I felt like for lowering it, but ultimately I feel like keeping it the same is a good idea. And raising it, I feel like, goes against the whole idea of a democracy.
Yeah.
You shouldn't really raise it that much, but lowering the voting age might boost voter turnout, which is pretty exciting. I like the idea of being able to cure voter apathy just by lowering the voting age.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, the kids might not be mature enough or have enough understanding of the broader context of their vote.
Yeah, and the question is, will we make the age then 16, 17?
16 was the most proposed age that I saw.
Me personally, I feel like that's going to be a terrible idea to lower the voting age to 16, because most people, or most 16-year-olds, don't have a good grasp on politics, and they're mostly persuaded by what is said on the media. So if they just listen to what's being said, they're just going to parrot it into their voting results and practically make a terrible decision and have someone in say in the office who isn't that well qualified to be president in other offices. And if you raise it, then it's like what Sadie said, is that you're kind of stripping away some of the elements of democracy by not allowing these technically certified adults to vote. I feel like trying to, I don't know how to phrase this, but I feel like there has to be some qualifications for you to be able to vote, sort of.
In what way?
In a way where you would know what you're kind of talking about, for a second, because some people are just
a background test? Do you know civics, or do you know government,
did you pass the civics COC in 7th grade?
Well, I did civics. I did, okay. And I have to take government now because they messed up my schedule and everything.
Aliya and I are voluntarily taking AP Government this year, just for the context of Julia and our viewers. I'm excited for it, though.
I mean, I like the class so far, too.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, back to your
Go back to the point.
I don't want to say a background check, because that just sounds bad, because it's just what they did before. I just want to feel like people know what they're talking about and want to, they know what's right to them and then what they think is going to be right, not just being influenced by everything around them.
So, okay, I understand where you're coming from. However, what you're saying then is educated people should vote. You have to be educated to vote?
No, I'm not saying that you have to be educated to vote. I'm just saying you have to be able to have that's really bad.
Yeah, educated.
Yeah.
Which is exactly why we have the Electoral College, because people then would vote, the masses, and then the county colors were like, we think you're too stupid to actually make a good decision, so the Electoral College came in place, which was educated people who would make the decisions to represent their constituents, which is a bad system in my opinion, but...
Well, yeah, because the Electoral College is flawed, in my opinion, with how this entire system is laid out. You can have someone who loses with a high number of electoral votes, and then you can have someone who wins with a low number. But it's kind of just how does that?
You mean the opposite?
It's what I said in the textbook. Is that the Electoral College, a candidate can win even if they have a low number of.
You mean popular votes?
The Electoral College
is how you win.
Yeah.
You have to have electoral votes.
So, let's say in the 2016 election, Hillary did win the popular vote, not by much. It was a very small margin.
1 million people.
It was about 1 million or 2 people, which is not that a lot.
Okay, in context of the United States of America, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot at all. That's basically 51% versus 49%. However, Trump won the electoral vote.
Well, yeah.
And I don't know the number there,
states.
but because he won almost all the swing states.
Yeah,
he won Florida, he won Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Ohio. That's how you win.
But by having people be educated, Yeah, I get it, but also that also seems like it bars people who can't access higher education and have a basic understanding. Like back then, how you needed property to vote, which also implies that you can only be a rich white man who is educated to vote, which is not the whole population, which is kind of what I see the issue with. I understand where you're coming from, like people voting just because like with the 2016 election again, people were like, I don't want Hillary because I don't want a woman because she might be too emotional.
Like people voting
those
on
are the
those
kind of things that like should not even be a factor.
However, we have to support their right to vote.
And if anything, I feel like a test would come in to lower the voting age. So if you can pass this test, you can vote at 16. But even that seems impractical, in my opinion. I'm sorry, we're not trying to
trash you. It's just like, and then at 18 is also a good age because that's when you're right out of high school or you're in a senior year, and which is a really good time. That's right when you're about to become an adult and go into the real world.
To the government class in the last
and at this point, you are now considered educated enough to have a decision in this. 16 is people are obviously in this day and age, you have a lot of access to information of this stuff. However, even at 16, no matter how mature you are for age, no matter how informed you are for your age, you're still 16.
Yeah.
This isn't being mean, but there's still development, there's still a necessary maturity. Maybe you're unable to see past your own perspective, and that comes with age. That's not anything against people that are, that's just how it is. Like, I don't know. But then if you raise it too much, then that was what the whole argument was with the 26th Amendment, was Vietnam War. You could send these kids to war, but you can't let them vote.
That's not fair at all.
Exactly.
And you don't want people fighting for a government to participate. I think that's a pretty fair and valid point.
Yeah, I think like the entire 26th Amendment was a good decision to make for like the right cause and all that stuff. I didn't want to say like at the time because then it would make it seem like that I'm against it now, but like at the time,
historical concept.
I feel like having it at 18 is like at a good level to have it at. You're just like you're becoming an adult, and like this is also like the sort of ascension, development into taking on responsibilities, and now you're like given this responsibility of choosing people in office and all these other things. Like it's a good way for these like people to be able to learn these responsibilities and get more mature, I guess.
Yeah. What even is the argument for 16 to be the age? I'm afraid I don't.
Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, I literally cannot comprehend why you would want that.
Why you would want that? One, if you start voting at a young age, you're more likely to continue voting throughout your life.
Yeah.
So no more voter apathy. That's exciting. Another argument is that in psychology called cold cognition, it's just the ability to think not under pressure, and then you have hot cognition, which is the ability to think in a pressuring situation, and that your cold cognition will be fully developed by the age of 16, according to scientists. I have not thoroughly researched this myself, but according to a lot of the sources I went through quite a few, cold cognition is still the same at 16 as it is at 18.
Yeah.
And so because voting is not under pressure in the United States, you're able to look and make an informed decision and all of that.
Yeah.
You should technically be at the same voting ability as an 18-year-old.
So then couldn't you do I think the issue a lot with people, like you were saying, at younger age, the more likely to vote as you get older. It also maybe boils down to once you're out of high school, there's no way for people to know how to vote or know how to register to vote. Which is why when you're in economic class, at least here, economics is only for seniors. So there's a whole day dedicated to people being able to register during their econ class. But maybe if instead of letting them vote at a younger age, we can let them register, pre-register at a younger age, so that when they turn 18, and then within a few weeks, they can get their voting card immediately.
Well, yeah, because in Florida, when you're 16, you can pre-register already.
Yeah.
So they already have that, but
is that a national standard? I don't know. If it's not, I think it should be.
It would make a good national standard.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, but then again, it's also not a federal rule. It seems like a state thing anyway.
I believe
a state power, pardon. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't really see the argument for 16. I mean, I do, but
it's not strong enough.
Yeah, I understand portions of the argument, but overall, I feel at the age of 16 and 15, it's you're, no matter how good and how smart, and how intelligent and informed and mature you are, you're just not. No matter, and that's not your fault by any means. That is just development. That's just adolescent development. And you think about it,
you haven't had
your frontal lobe isn't even fully developed until you're 25, and your frontal lobe covers all higher thinking, all higher levels of thinking and communication and such are all dealt with in the frontal lobe. Basically, all the instinctual, emotional parts of your brain have been developed at this point, but not your common sense part of your brain, I suppose is the word for it. And so the logical part of your brain is not fully developed, but yet the emotional part is. So that's why you see a lot of angsty, moody teenagers. And that's not their fault. That's just hormones and brain development. That's just natural. A logical...
Moody teenagers voting.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to mention, like, some teenagers aren't even able to, like, get transportation to a voting ballot, like, at that age, and it may be difficult.
Isn't there one at school, like, during November?
Is there?
I believe.
If not, it should be, but...
That would be great, but I don't think so, actually.
What was the first argument in the article you said? It was something that, like, when you start at 16, then it would develop, like, you would more...
It becomes a habit,
individual.
And so then you're more likely to continue voting throughout the rest of your life, and then leads to voter apathy, which would be nice to not have voter apathy. I just don't think that's necessarily the right solution.
But then the argument after was saying with the term, the psychological term, that it's like at the age of 16 is the same at age of 18. Wouldn't that just be like if you start at the age of 18, it would just become a habit later on?
If you face the social pressure from people at school to go vote when you're 16, if you have that sort of societal pressure to vote when you're 16 because you're surrounded by people that now can vote, you're more likely to.
And
you don't necessarily have that. And like, I'm one of the only people at Steinbrenner that can vote.
Yeah, that's what it is. And most
so
people
there's no
don't turn 18
pressure.
Until after they graduate
Exactly.
or past
at
voting
least after
time.
November.
Yeah.
And so there's not that societal and social pressure to vote when you're less likely to.
And
you're
in
less
college,
likely to have
well, there's a lot of political activism in college. It's just like you're doing your own thing and you're so focused on that voting is not a concern for you at that point, especially if it's not habitual. So I think in conclusion, I think we're all about on the same board. Like, we're all going to maintain it at 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you check if it was a national standard?
I did check if it was a national standard. There is not a national standard. In some states, all 17-year-olds and some 16-year-olds can register. In other states, some 17-year-olds and no 16-year-olds can register. In many states, eligibility will change year to year based on the date of the next upcoming election.
What's the one that's coming up next? I know there's...
November 6th. And so it's a governor, it's a bunch of local positions, there's some school board positions even, and then there's cabinet members, I believe there's state senators, and I know there's national senators.
Yeah, I know, I want to say Nelson.
He's running.
Bill Nelson,
and
Rick Scott, Andrew, or is he
Andrew
for
Gillum is
Senate?
governor,
Governor.
and DeSantis is also.
Isn't Rick Scott going for Senate?
Yeah, he's going for national senate.
Okay, well, I think that's enough for today. Thank you so much, Julia, for being on here. We really appreciated it.
We do.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. It was a good time, and I really enjoyed talking to you two.
We enjoyed having a guest. We always like having guests on our podcast.
Between this episode and Doreen's episode, and we'll probably have more in the future, in the nearby future.
Definitely. We're looking at some more episodes involving guests, which is pretty exciting.
Maybe even more than one guest on an
Maybe
episode.
even, yeah.
We're hoping for that one, but we'll see. In the meantime, thank you so much for listening. In the description below, we'll have our email where you can contact us for any suggestions, questions, yada yada. There will be a link to the Oracle's website if you want to read all our articles, and there'll even be a link for Sadie's article specifically regarding voting age.
Thanks for listening. I'm Sadie.
And I'm Aliya.
I'm Julia.
Don't forget to read the Oracle newspaper.